Recently, somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,000 journalists have been laid off from their jobs. As you can imagine, people are quite broken up about it on their behalf. Why, it's not like journalists have ever reveled in getting people fired from their jobs for wrongthink or revealed their identities to the masses. In addition to their other wonderful contributions to society, journalists have a history of telling other people what they should be doing with their lives. More specifically, they have a history of telling others to just learn to code. That's right, coding is the solution to all of your career-related problems. And now a quick word from our totally not made-up sponsors. Are you a young girl soul-searching for her future? Just learn to code. Are you a coal miner recently laid off from your job? Just learn to code. You heard it here, folks. It's just that simple. All you have to do is believe in that magical phrase, and you're well on your way to success. It's not as though you'll just end up being replaced by Rajit overseas because he works for half the salary. And since journalists just love coding, when people heard they were out of a job, out of the kindness of their hearts, they reached out to these poor journalists via Twitter and offered sound advice. Learn to code. Now, you would think with their adoration for the tech industry, journalists would have been more than happy to take their own advice into account to help pull themselves up out of the depths of irrelevancy. But that's not what happened at all. They instantly played the victim card and claimed that the Learn to Code meme had been warped into a right-wing harassment campaign with the intention of silencing and threatening these poor, marginalized individuals. Because, as you know, words are violence, and learn to code is just another phrase in a long line of dog whistles. These journalists cried so hard that Twitter is now considering any learn to code message sent to a recently laid-off journalist targeted harassment. How quickly all of that hubris crumbles. The activists masquerading as journalists have been actively screwing with people's lives for years, right out in the open, and now they have the nerve to claim that they're somehow the victims because people are sending them tweets with the very message they've spent all this time perpetuating. As usual, the loudest and most foul people can't handle it when you give them a taste of their own medicine, once again proving that they don't even live up to the standards they try to set for other people, much less their own. You can't simultaneously play the antagonist and victim. This is the game these people have created, and now that the tables have turned, they don't want to play anymore. There's no sympathy for people who have no issue ruining other people's lives when it's convenient for them to make a clickbait article out of it for a paycheck. The fact that they seem to believe they're above any kind of accountability for their own actions only further goes to demonstrate their delusions of grandeur. Rather than being humbled by having been taken down a peg or two and shown that they are in fact expendable, they've just doubled down on the narrative that they're the eternal victims who have just suffered so much because they're out of a job. You know, that same thing many people in the past have suffered through when these smug, self-important bastards told them to learn to code. The levels of hypocrisy on display are off the charts, as the very same people who have no issue framing an innocent kid in a hat as some sort of personification of evil now require protection from mean words on social media. The victim complexes held by some of the most entitled people ever to exist is truly an amazing event to witness. For though they may act self-important on paper, deep down, in their heart of hearts, they know they are nowhere near as important as they think they are. And despite their efforts to contain the backlash, it's been a bad day for the farce of an industry known as journalism. So, journalists, if you find that all else is lost, just remember these 3 simple words. Learn to code.